Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. I'm back out here with another blog style video. I'm out here doing some hunter-gatherer stuff. I guess I'm doing more gathering than hunting. I haven't seen any squirrels. I actually thought I might shoot a gray while I was out here today hunting mushrooms, but I haven't seen one yet. I found some really nice chicken of the woods. I'm going to take you guys back there and show you that mushroom. And I found some honey mushrooms today. And I found two species of honey mushrooms as of late. And honey mushrooms are kind of they're more of an intermediate type mushroom as far as identification goes. I actually sent pictures of this one to my buddy Alec to make sure I knew what I was looking at, because there are ones that look similar that are poisonous, including the deadly galena, and there are some hallucinogenic mushrooms that look similar as well. And this is the honey mushroom here. And what I think we're going to do with this to kind of get another little bit of education in this video series, we're going to take this one back to my house and we're going to do a spore print to make sure that the spore print matches what the book says as far as coloration goes, so that we can 100% identify this mushroom. Even though it identifies well with all the main features in my book, the spore print will tell the tale for sure. So this is a nice group of honeys right here on the ground. They grow in clusters like this, and these are a ringed honey mushroom or just a normal honey mushroom. They've got that ring on them, and I'm going to show you a giant patch of ringless honey mushrooms that are actually down the street from my house on some stumps that someone cut down by the road. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit as well. Stay with me. Okay, so here we have chicken of the woods, and this is a very, very easy to identify polypore. You can see on the bottom of it, it is yellow as well. This is one of the mushrooms that are probably on the top 10 list of every list you find out there as far as beginning mushroom hunting. Chicken of the woods is on the list. It's a delicious mushroom. I just ate some myself last night, fried in bacon grease, and it was fantastic. But it's easy to identify, and it's pretty prevalent in eastern woodlands. This is the first time this year I found it. I found it twice in the last 2 days, and I found quite a bit of it. So it may just be a cool down thing where it needs to cool down a little bit before it pops in eastern woodlands, at least in my area. But that's a really good picture for you and a very good example of chicken of the woods. It grows both on trees like this, and I've also found a specimen on a tree on the ground yesterday. Okay, so these are ringless honey mushrooms. You can see a lot of them are quite far past it now, but there are still some on the ground here that are good, and they're in the same species as the ringed honey mushroom, just a different subspecies. They are an edible mushroom, and a lot of these mushrooms need to be cooked very, very thoroughly before you consume them, and really that's more because of digestibility reasons than anything else. Mushrooms do have some minerals in them that are very similar to what crabs and things like that, crayfish, have in their carapace, that makes them hard to digest. So if you boil them first and then cook them, they're much easier to digest. So this is the ringless honey mushroom. Okay, so we've come back inside now and we've brought our mushrooms back with us, and we've got chicken of the woods here, which we know we can identify no problem. We've also got two different suspected honey mushrooms here. We've got a ringless honey mushroom and we have a ringed honey mushroom. And looking at these, we need to try to fully identify them before we decide we're going to consume them. So going back to our field guide and looking at what's called macro morphology, which is what Alec talks about being how the mushroom looks compared to the way it's described. And if you look at that very, very intensely and you learn that, you're not going to make very many mistakes. And then you can do a spore print in the end for final verification that we'll talk about in a minute. So looking at this ringed honey mushroom, it's the right color. It's got the definite and distinct ring around it from where the veil dropped off from the gill protection. It's got the right spacing between the gills. The gills are the right color. Everything about it matches the description in the book. So I'm pretty convinced that this is a ringed honey mushroom or a honey mushroom. The final step in that process is to take a spore print. And to do that, we just cut the top of the mushroom off and we place it upside down on a surface that should show the spores. And in this case, it says the spore print should be white. So I used a black background of just a Write in the Rain notebook. I placed the mushroom head upside down and covered it with a cup to keep the humidity, maintain humidity underneath. And I left it there for about 6 hours. And when I pulled it off, I had a white spore print that you can see on the back of this notebook. That verifies that this is not one of the poison lookalikes to this mushroom, which would have a different color spore print, either brown or black. So because it has a white spore print and because it matches all the characteristics of macro morphology within this field guide and other field guides that I have, as well as talking to Alec, I'm convinced that this is the honey mushroom. I've done the same thing off camera with this ringless honey mushroom and positively identified it as well.